We are living in an age of human sacrifice. We are living in an age where we haven't changed much from the time when the Nazi Party and the brown shirts and the SS used to use the blood banner of the fallen martyrs in Munich in 1919 during the Walpurgis Day uprising. No, actually, it wasn't. It was later. It was 1923. The 9/11/11/9 blood sacrifice in the streets of Munich, where the blood banner was used as the holy sacrament of National Socialism. National Socialism being a religious organisation, an occult group which dabbled in politics on the side, which is interesting because right now I'm editing the second edition of Walpurgis Night Volume 1 in preparation for Walpurgis Night Volume 2, which will be coming out later this year. I want to both have similar covers, so I've hired a designer to do that. This second edition of Volume 1 will be expanded with more artwork and about 25%, 20% more content. Updated stuff that's happened since then. I was reading the book, it still stands up very, very well. It's just a general introduction into how Central European folk magic was used in the Nazi rise to power. So, but we're back to this again in history. It's been announced that Joe Cox, the British MP who was murdered on the eve of the Brexit vote and who became the patron saint of the Remain movement, they're now going to have annual street parties in her name. Now, this is pure black magic, dark pathological magic. This is the Remain side using her corpse, which they tried initially when she was initially killed. They tried that with it in the Guardian. They were pretending they were all shocked and horrified, but the Remain side were rubbing their hands saying they're going to vote against Brexit now because they'll associate Brexit with Nazis and things like that. And of course it failed miserably for them. They're not going to give it up. Jo Cox was completely unknown. Even in her own constituency, many people were unaware of her existence. The poor woman was brutally and horrifically murdered. I am not in any way making light of that horrible story. But the thing was that her dead body was immediately used and held aloft like the blood banner of the Remain side as she became a human sacrifice. That's what she became. And and then they had her weird memorial where the family arrived on a boat down the Thames and they had this weird gigantic screen all ready to go. Live like Joe, love like Joe. She was just the woman didn't deserve to die, of course, but she was a Blairite, New Labour, classic career politician. She would have believed whatever the party told her believed in order to further her career. She also had nothing to do with the Rotherham mass rapes by Muslims. She wouldn't touch her with a 10-foot pole, but she was all for all the other things, the typical cultural Marxist agenda. Having said that, the woman didn't deserve to die, and my heart goes out to her 2 children who don't have a mother. I don't know about her husband. He gives me the same. I don't know the guy personally, but there's something about him. There's too much of a Jerry McCann there or something going on, but I won't judge him too harsh. I don't know yet. Maddie McCann was a blood sacrifice as well, not deliberately. They become like passive blood sacrifices afterwards in order to protect Jerry and Kate McCann from being negligent parents who left kids alone without a babysitter. This is why all the alcoholic journalists and all the newspapers and TVs all rallied behind them, because that's the kind of things they do. If you look at Maddie McCann, she looks like she has fetal alcohol syndrome anyway, the poor child. Mother never cared, it seems. There's so few pictures of her, baby pictures. I know people who have pictures of their first baby, like thousands of them. There's like 4 or 5 pictures of Maddie McCann. And but that's a diversion. We've also had the sacrifice of Milo Yiannopoulos, who went down for a joke about paedophilia that was completely harmless, where you have all the people on the left side from that creepy George Takei, a guy who has rode 50 years of fame by pressing cardboard and plastic buttons on a set of a terrible TV show that was quite racist in its way. Star Trek tries to make out it was groundbreaking, but you find out when they went down to the planets, it was always the blacks or the darkskins who got killed in the red outfits. Blood sacrifice again. Remember, Gene Roddenberry was a massive Freemason. So this is what we're living in, an age of ritual sacrifice, where a debt is now used in the same way to forward a political agenda. So you look at, like, I was even thinking of Horst Wessel. He was murdered, the brown shirt composer. His death became a a clarion call for the SS and the stormtroopers, the brown shirts, the SA. And it just is what happens. So these Remainers that are now using Joe Cox's death as an annual street party event are just, all they are black magicians using blood sacrifice and two children without a mother to further their political agenda. This makes me fucking sick to my stomach. Because this is what all these Guardian types, all these New Labour types, all these New Statesman, Fabian types, they're all going, oh, we're here for Joe. No, you're here for a political agenda because you are a scum. You are absolutely disgusting. You're using that, you're holding that woman's corpse aloft as a political device. You're vile beyond words. But this just proves that we do live in an occultic world where this is a cult. People say, oh, it's just like, but it's the occult. They're using dark forces, unseen tapped forces of the psyche in order to swing a political vote. It's still the occult. This is still human sacrifice as practiced by magicians and wizards in the past. It's still being done. It's just that nowadays they do it differently. Rather than putting them up on setting them on fire on top of a pile. What they do is they wait for them and hope for them to get killed, and when they get killed, they use that debt for political advantage. This is a cult, this is magic, this is dark sorcery. They were the same as happened with Milo Yiannopoulos. That's dark sorcery, what they've done to him. I mean, that's you can see the guy was completely, in that press conference, they've demolished that man. And what is his great crime? No great crime. He was everything they hated, a gay man who told them exactly what they were, who stood up to them. And they'll make a patron saint out of her like they did out of Maddie McCann's photograph. And they'll make Kate McCann was a patron saint of these alcoholic newspaper journalists and these lefty scumbags. And yeah, they won't be happy. And you have now a situation now with the Trump thing, which is totally turned into a mind virus. Look, don't give me this crap that you're against Trump because you're against his policies. Most of you who hate Trump hate him because you've been whipped up into a frenzy by the same people who are going to be holding Joe Cox's corpse aloft. It's a mind virus. And think of people like Michael Moore as the typhoid Mary of these mind viruses. It's all sorcery. It's all occult. Learn about this stuff. Read about what happened in Germany in the 1920s. You're still living in that world, and it's not going to change. We're dealing with people who are dark magi. Even if they're not overtly or deliberately, that's what they are. Instinctually, they're like that. This is why they're obsessed with images of cherubs and naked children. And then the same ones who fill their houses with basically child porn in the shape of cherubs are the ones who've gotten rid of Milo Yiannopoulos for a paedophile, a harmless paedophile joke. Yes, you're living in an age of human sacrifice. Tough shit.